I'm John Walsh, and I've dedicated my entire life to locking up the worst criminals. Since 1988, we've caught 1,191 fugitives.
We're tracking down one of the most ruthless gangs of lawbreakers we've ever gone after,
including several of the FBI's most wanted. And we've reunited dozens of missing children with their families. But the job continues, and this time, my son Callahan joins the fight. With your help, we're gonna put more low-life criminals behind bars, including these that you'll see tonight. Up first, help us catch the man who's suspected of murdering a beloved high school football coach. For the first time ever, we'll name the alleged killer who police are looking for. Next, when financial advisor Rodney Allen went missing, his friends and clients were concerned. But their concern should have been for themselves. And finally, we revisit one of the most gruesome homicides we've ever covered. Tamara Williams is wanted for killing and dismembering her boyfriend. And we have updated information from the last time we aired this case. America's Most Wanted, the original true crime series, is back. You can run, but you can't hide. Hello, everyone. I'm John Walsh.
And I'm Callahan Walsh.
And this is America's Most Wanted. You know, it's really great to be back. Tonight, we need your help again to find a brand new bunch of low-life fugitives.
Since 1988, AMW has caught 1,191 suspected criminals, and it's our goal to get that number even higher.
Our team of investigators, as well as local and state police and the FBI, are standing by to take your tips, so don't hesitate to call. I guarantee you can remain anonymous. Now let's get right to our first case.
The senseless murder of a beloved high school football coach sent shockwaves through the city of Sacramento and beyond. Tonight, in an AMW exclusive, law enforcement is revealing the name and identity of his alleged murderer who has been on the run for over a year. This could be exactly what we need to catch this guy.
Absolutely.
Take a look.
Coach Grimes was more than a coach. He was a big brother. And somebody who's like a mentor to you.
Najee was, I would say, destined for sunshine.
When he was young, I used to take him out to play football. He loved sports.
First year playing football was his freshman year, and he came straight out and dominated the whole section. For 4 straight years was a juggernaut.
Najee was recruited by Boise State his senior year. He really wanted to go to Boise State. He wanted to be a winner, and they had a great program going.
And Najee came back with 5 championship rings. Najee was playing his last bowl game. He had tears in his eyes, and he said, "Mom, I'm 21 years old, and I feel like an old man. This is my last game." And then he started coaching at Intercom, and once he got back out there on the same field that he had played on, that was a new chapter for him.
Out on that field, your brothers.
A few years later, Najee had Ace, and that was a new chapter for him.
My name is Ace. I'm 6 years old. My dad taught me how to play football.
Najee was very, very present in Ace's life. He wanted to inspire him. So he made sure that every day Ace felt his presence. You know, I don't want to, I'm sorry. I don't want to fall apart. But anyway,
That night, he was like, "I'm going out, guys."
So he made plans with his friends. A few hours later, we were home and we received a phone call from his friends, and they were frantic. They told us that Najee had been shot.
That night, our 911 dispatch center began receiving several calls regarding shots fired in the area. When we arrived there, the first thing we do is attend a briefing given by the patrol sergeant who is in charge of the scene. The next step after the briefing was to interview the witnesses that were still on scene. We were notified by the victim's friends. He had no known enemies, and that night at the club was very peaceful, so nobody understood why this happened. The big kicker there was we learned that the victim's friend had actually witnessed the shooting. I've been told by witnesses that it might have been over something as meaningless as telling the suspect that his watch was fake. I hope there's a more meaningful motive. So far, it has not been revealed.
Now, we're joined by Detective Scott Kreutz of the Sacramento PD. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Now, this is the first time ever publicly releasing this information. Why do it on America's Most Wanted?
America's Most Wanted is going to let us get his picture in front of as many people as possible so we can catch him.
Absolutely. Do you know the suspect?
Tajay Michael.
Tajay Michael?
Yes.
That's the guy?
Yes. Through eyewitness testimony and other electronic surveillance measures, I think he's the one who opened fire in front of a nightclub, struck and killed Najee Grimes.
What does the public need to know about this creep?
That he has complete disregard for the safety of others, struck his target and hit 4 of the people.
Didn't care, just fired away.
And there was some information about a watch or an argument over a watch. Can you tell me more about that?
Yes, earlier in the evening, it looked like the victim was taking a video that showed a bunch of subjects putting up their watches and showing off how expensive they were. We were told that the argument might have been over the victim telling the suspect that his watch was fake.
Because of an argument over a watch?
Yes.
Oh, unbelievable.
I have a hard time believing it was so petty, but I've seen people killed for less.
Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you again.
Let's hope our viewers hit a home run tonight and tell us where this lowlife is.
Thank you.
If you've seen Tajay Michael, call us at 866-AMW-TIPS or go to amwtips.com. Right now, there's no time to waste. When we come back, we reveal how authorities were able to pinpoint Tajay Michael as the alleged killer and where he may be located now. And Najee's parents are with us in the studio to talk about their son's tragic murder. Plus, Rodney Allen's clients and friends were devastated when he went missing. But turns out there was nothing friendly about him. And later, alarming footage of a midday mall robbery. A thief makes off with almost $11,000 of jewelry, and it's all caught on tape. Can you help us identify this dirtbag? Stay with us. We'll be right back. We just revealed, exclusively on AMW, the name and identity of the man police say murdered 31-year-old father and high school football coach Najee Grimes. And now we need your help to find Tajay Michael. Take another look.
We have a homicide investigation with 1 deceased, but the victim's friend had actually witnessed the shooting. After the club got out, she said goodbye to the victim, and as she was walking away, she saw the suspect walk up to the victim and shoot him. The club used a system that scanned all the patrons and their IDs as they entered. So based on that, that's how we were able to come up with a name of the suspect, Tajay Michael. Through a records check of Tajay Michael, I was able to learn that he had weapons charges in his past. On July 5th, we were able to meet with our first main witness and show her a photo lineup, and she was able to select Tajay Michael and identified him as the shooter of Grimes.
We also discovered through the investigation that Tajay Michael left in a black Dodge. We found this black Dodge was located at this apartment in Torrance, California. Once we located the black Dodge, we made entry into this apartment complex. And unfortunately, we did not locate Tajay Michael at this apartment. We found multiple firearms, but after getting forensically examined, none of them were the weapon used during our shooting. He could still have the weapon on him.
The investigation so far has led us to believe that Tajay Michael is in the Southern California area, being assisted in eluding police by his friends and family.
At this time, the motive for this shooting is still unclear, so hopefully we can bring him to justice for Grimes's family.
I would like Najee to be remembered for being a consequential person.
He cared for others.
No mother should have to go through this. Please, I beg, please. My country needs justice.
His son needs peace, his mom needs peace. We all need peace.
This is a loving family that really deserves justice, and the man who killed him deserves to be behind bars.
Absolutely. Najee's parents, Deborah and Gregory, are here with us tonight. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having us here.
Well, I also want to thank you for coming here. We belong, unfortunately, to the same club, Horrible Club Parents of Murdered Children.
Yes. So, can you tell us a little bit about him?
Najee just touched so many hearts. He was just an awesome person.
You know, from that day one, he was a star. He was a great leader.
Tell me, how did you find out that he was killed?
That was the most horrific night. We received a call. Najee's been shot. So by the time that we got to the hospital, he was still on the operating table. We didn't know the severity of it. And so the nurse came out and actually told us that he had died. I can't even tell you today how I got from point A to point B, but I remember being picked up by my husband off the sidewalk, and I had lost my voice. My vocal cords are still damaged today because I screamed Najee's name so much and so loud that I damaged them permanently.
Wow.
So, you know, get her, just stand up and let's go and get Ace, and, you know, we got to keep moving.
Ace was just heartbroken and still is, but he's resilient, and he played on his father's football field.
And he's got world-class grandparents.
Oh,
yes.
Doing a great job.
It's my understanding that you're trying to pass some legislature.
Yes.
Najee's Law.
Yes.
It holds nightclubs accountable for crimes that happen in that area, correct?
Well, to this degree, what we are asking is that the nightclubs simply put walk-through metal detectors at the entrance.
Keep the
That's
guns
it.
out.
Absolutely. Guns, knives, brass knuckles, things that will help to ensure that other people are not victimized.
Yeah, but you're doing what Reve and I tried to do, and we're still doing, is to make sure that he didn't die in vain.
And thank you for your inspiration also. I want you to know that you and your wife, we saw how you handled everything just so graciously and so forth, and we knew that we wanted to do more than just cry on one another's shoulders.
Well, you laid a groundwork here, so we're all going to know about Najee's Law now.
Yes.
So we're all going to put the pressure on Sacramento.
There we go. Thank you
to
so
do what
much.
they should be doing.
Absolutely.
And get
Thank you
it done
so
in
much.
his memory. Gregory, I got to ask you a question.
Yes.
Men take it a different way. So all I was thinking about was vengeance, and all that my wife was thinking about was to make sure Adam didn't die in vain.
Yes.
You go through that, don't you? Is it
yeah.
Dad? And you're thinking, I got to catch that bastard.
No, yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, but you're doing what I did with these guys. Was that my wife and I celebrated the 6 years we had Adam. You're keeping his memory alive for Ace, aren't you?
Yes,
And showing him
absolutely.
the positive things.
Most
what a wonderful
definitely.
father.
we're grateful that you guys are doing this show, and we believe this is going to be it here.
Our prayers are with you.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
I'm hoping to make that call that we got this
Yes.
dirtbag.
Thank you.
Bless.
God bless you.
Pay attention to the face on your screen. Last he was spotted, Tajay Michael weighed 200 pounds, standing 6 feet tall with brown hair and brown eyes. He's 29 years old and has several tattoos on his face, including a crown and the word shine, spelled S-H-Y-N-E, written in cursive above his right eye. He also has a broken heart near his left eye. Looking at the map, the crime was committed in Sacramento, but Michael's car was found a month after the murder in Torrance, which is just outside of Los Angeles. Police say he has a lot of family ties to LA, so he may still be in or around that area.
If you see Tajay Michael, do not approach him. Call us at 866-AMW-TIPS or go to amwtips.com. Remember, you can run, but you can't hide. Coming up next, those who knew and loved Rodney Allen were stunned when he went missing. But the truth behind his disappearance shocked all of Boise. Later, we revisit a case where a possessive girlfriend is accused by police of the gruesome murder of her boyfriend. And she's still on the run today.
And throughout the night, we'll be bringing you shocking crimes caught on camera from all across the country. This could be happening in your own hometown. Take a look at the first case.
Cameras capturing a retail worker's worst nightmare in October at a Zales in the Gateway Mall near 65th and O Streets in Lincoln, Nebraska. Around 11:15 a.m., the suspect enters Zales, demanding the employee, who is off camera, open the glass cases containing jewelry worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. When they decline, the suspect takes a hammer and goes to town on a display case. The employee tries to stop him and is violently shoved to the ground. The suspect goes to another case to try again, and despite the employee's best efforts, managed to break this one open. And in mere seconds, grabs 11 pieces of jewelry, including 8 diamond bracelets and a necklace worth nearly $11,000. Not only did he rob the store, he caused over $3,000 worth of damage. The suspect is described as an 18 to 25-year-old male, standing 6 feet tall and weighing 150 pounds with brown hair. So, if you live in Lincoln, Nebraska, and know someone who's been selling diamond bracelets, or you recognize this man, call us or go to our site immediately. You're watching America's Most Wanted. Our next case is about your average guy next door, whose friends and clients saw him as someone they could really trust. But little did they know that he was involved in some very shady business that would end up affecting all of their lives for the worse. Check this out.
Hearing that Rod was missing was the last thing in the world we wanted to hear. This is one of my closest friends. It's really hard to comprehend. It's a phone call you never want to get. I knew Rod for years and golfed with him. We did family things together, and even invested with Rod. I had several friends invest with him.
Rod was a friend. He was always available to meet in his office, always available to talk with us about what he would do for us with our investments.
Rod was a pretty unassuming guy. I knew him playing golf, and he was my financial advisor. Instead of getting 6% of the bank, Rod's investment returns that I was seeing were 18, 20, 25%. I like that.
Rodney began his day like most other days. Occasionally he would ride his bike to work, but not that morning. That morning he drove his pickup. Later that evening, when he did not come home from work, Rodney's wife had contacted police to report him as a missing person.
We were really worried about Rod and just really, truly concerned about what was going on with him and where he could be.
Rodney's wife and his friends then contact OnStar looking for the vehicle.
Got the GPS coordinates, and then my wife's friends and I drove out looking for Rod's truck. The camper shell was unlocked. So we found his wedding ring in the ashtray of the truck. My wife, Melissa, thought he'd left the wedding ring in the ashtray as like a goodbye.
Once the vehicle was located by Rodney's friends, they left him a note indicating how concerned they were about his well-being at that time. I had learned that approximately a year before this, he had lost his brother to suicide. And then in January, he had lost his mother. Based on the OnStar, Rodney was down there all night driving in circles. To me, that indicates that he's most likely contemplating suicide. Rodney's wife later noticed that taken from the safe was his handgun, his passport, and some cash. Rodney may have been defrauding his friends and family of large sums of money.
Out of the blue, we get an email from the Department of Finance saying that they were investigating Rod. They were unable to contact him, so they were asking us for documentation of all of our involvement with Rod.
At that point, we were afraid that we were going to lose all of our money. We had invested close to $700,000 with Rod.
Monty and Brenda contacted the FBI office. When I took the investor statements, they were high-risk investments. The returns were never a negative. They were always a positive, and those were serious red flags. I'm thinking Rodney Allen's disappearance is probably more than just a missing person. But the Rodney Allen case was a significant investment fraud of over $7 million, the largest investment fraud I have worked in the state of Idaho.
I went from poor Rod to you son of a bitch, I'm gonna find you.
Now, we still have a lot more to learn about this story, but investment fraud's a growing problem for Americans.
Exactly. In fact, over 100,000 Americans were subject to investment fraud in 2022, losing over $8 billion. Rodney Allen was showing his clients, who were mostly his friends or friends of friends, insane returns on their money, but none of it was real. After the break, the main questions still remain. Where was Rodney Allen? And more importantly, where was all of their money? And later, another flash mob theft wipes out a family-owned bakery in California. These types of crimes are on the rise, and we need your help to stop them.
But now, do you remember a guy named David James Roberts? Well, I certainly do. I'll never forget him. He was a convicted child murderer and a prison escapee who was put on the FBI's 10 Most Wanted list. And way back in 1988, he was not only our first ever fugitive profiled on America's Most Wanted, he was also our first capture, and it was a great one.
Last Sunday night, escaped murderer David James Roberts was a fugitive. He was on the FBI's 10 Most Wanted list. But after you saw his story here on America's Most Wanted, our hotlines were flooded with over 1,600 calls. There were dozens of sightings, many from the New York metro area. Your phone tips led the FBI to David James Roberts' hideout.
Your tips could be the difference between a criminal running free and justice. Welcome back to America's Most Wanted. Now, authorities say Rodney Allen had lied to everyone. This creep had assured his friends and his clients that they were making great investments. But the math wasn't adding up, and he knew it. It wasn't until he disappeared that they knew it, too.
When I was first exposed to Rod and found out that he was making 18%, at first I was very skeptical. I ended up talking to another person that was an investor, and they both said, you got nothing to worry about. They've known him for years. He's honest. I finally decided that I need to go meet this guy, and that's one of the worst decisions I ever made. With Rod, we would receive monthly statements. They seemed like statements from a bank or a credit union. They seemed very professional. That just kind of reassured me some more that this is legit.
I remember collecting the monthly investor statements, and the first time I looked at it, I knew we had a fraud. I could tell that the numbers were made up. Every statement that Rodney provided to his investors was untrue.
It started out with $10,000. At the height of our investing with Rod, we probably had $500,000.
I probably had around $200,000 invested with Rod.
I started off with about $20,000, and it escalated from there. Eventually, he ended up taking $500,000 from my wife on her retirement.
Monty was supposed to retire the next month. So retirement was canceled for Monty, and I went back to work full-time.
If I ever got my hands on him, there'll be a day of reckoning before I turn him into authorities, period.
I got my wife's parents invested with Rod. Now they live in Social Security check to Social Security check.
I reached out to the Idaho Department of Finance to find out Rodney Allen was already under investigation. Rodney knew that the Idaho Department of Finance was going to find Rodney was an unlicensed investment advisor, and he knew he couldn't keep it hidden for very long. I noticed that he had done an address search for the investigator. He was looking for her address. I also noticed that Rodney Allen had been searching for a silencer for the handgun. He might have been thinking about eliminating her in order to save himself. Rodney is a dangerous person. If he established roots somewhere else, he could easily get right back into theft from others, investment fraud, and I would be concerned for anybody who might come across Rodney Allen.
I pride myself on being a Christian, but he was a silver-tongued devil. And Christians are supposed to forgive. And I'm not quite at that point in my life, but I hope someday that I'm able to forgive him.
You know, millions of Americans have been victims of financial crimes. It's a growing problem. Two investors and friends of Rodney Allen are here, Brenda and Monty Bell. Thank you for being with us tonight.
Thanks for having us.
Now, Monty, you invested a lot of money with this guy. How has that changed your life?
Well, for me, I don't trust people. Not sure I trust myself anymore, you know? I think about him every day.
And Brenda, you put a lot of trust in this guy. How has that changed the way you look at other people now?
I grew up with the basic edict that you trust folks. You do unto them as you expect them to do unto you. So as a result of this, I'm just not as open as I once was.
Here you are, supposed to be retiring, enjoying that sunny beach, right? And now you have to go back to work, all because of this guy.
Well, it makes me angry. I had one more month to retire. I already had my papers. And I worked for about another 5 years to make up for what had happened. And Brenda went back to work. She was retired.
What would you say to somebody else out there to make sure that they don't make the same mistake?
I would really urge people to do their due diligence. If it's sounding too good, it probably is not true, and you need to research. Call the Department of Finance. And just because they send you monthly statements, it doesn't mean it's true.
Well, thank you both for being here. We are absolutely going to help catch this guy. I know it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dad, back to you.
Thanks, Cal. And remember, Rodney Allen has done this before, and he could be doing it again. He was reported missing on April 20th, 2017 in Boise, Idaho, and there have been 0 sightings since. We were told he asked someone about crossing the border before he went missing. So due to its proximity to Idaho, Canada is also a possibility. Rodney Allen is wanted for wire fraud. Authorities think he could be using his carpentry skills to help him. When he was last seen, he weighed 185 pounds with gray hair and brown eyes. He's 6 feet tall, and now he's 71 years old. If you live in or around Boise, Idaho, and you've seen Rodney Allen or have any details about this case, please call us at 866-AMW-TIPS or go to amwtips.com. Next, we revisit one of the grisliest murders we've covered on AMW. Can you help us find Tamara Williams, the fugitive who police suspect is responsible for the murder and dismemberment of David Carter? But first, here's another local crime alert. This is highly disturbing footage from a hate crime that took place on a Metro bus in St. Louis last spring. The suspect boards the bus at Chippewa and Grand around 3:30 p.m. on April 13th and heads to the back of the bus. He then begins talking to the victim, a transgender woman. The other passengers' images, including the victim, are blurred for their safety. Once the suspect realizes the victim is transgendered, he begins to assault her, unprovoked, hitting her brutally and repeatedly over and over again, before pulling out a gun and pointing it at her. He eventually stops and exits the bus, leaving the victim bloodied and bruised. In December, the FBI announced a reward of up to $10,000 for any information leading to the arrest of the suspect, who's described as a black male wearing dark sunglasses, a black beanie, and a neon green shirt with a very distinguishable scar on his right forearm. He's still at large and should be considered armed and very, very dangerous. If you recognize this man, call us at 866-AMW-TIPS or go to amwtips.com and send us your information. And remember, we guarantee that you can remain anonymous. Welcome back to America's Most Wanted. Now, it's my hope for this show that we not only catch fugitives on the run, but that we find as many missing children as we possibly can. So tonight, we're asking you to help us find Astrid Kress, who's been missing since July 16th, 2023. She's 5 years old with greenish blue eyes and blonde hair. And at the time she was last seen in Scottsdale, Arizona, she weighed 45 pounds and was 42 inches tall. Astrid's family tells us that she may be in the city of Fremont, or Dallas, Texas, or Portland, Oregon. So, if you've seen Astrid Kress, please call us at 866-AMW-TIPS or go to amwtips.com. We don't need to know who you are or where you are. We just really need your tips to find this little girl. Cal?
Now this next fugitive is wanted for a case that we've covered on this show, and it's especially heinous. Tonight, we're bringing it back because in September of 2023, the U.S. Marshals elevated Tamara Williams to their 15 most wanted fugitives and increased the reward for any information that leads to her arrest to $25,000. She's wanted for the brutal murder of David Carter, who went missing in 2018.
That's cuz right there, man, you know what I'm saying?
My brother David was loving. David was a jokester. He always had us laughing. Get him! That was real cute. David was a great father. His son, DJ, was David's life. But everything changed in March of 2018. David and Tamara knew each other since high school and reacquainted through a mutual friend. I knew she wasn't gonna be good for my brother. Tammy was obsessive. She wanted David all to herself.
Tamara and David weren't together long, just a few months before they were moving in together, and then it wasn't too long after that the relationship seemed to unravel. Tamara Williams was quite territorial when it came to David. She was very into this relationship, maybe more into this relationship than David was. If she couldn't have David, nobody could.
My nephew, DJ, had decided to go to my brother's apartment to check on his dad. He saw Tamara coming out of the apartment with garbage bags. When Tamara gets back, DJ asked her where his dad was. Tammy said he was out taking a walk. I decided to check David's apartment, and I called my dad because I could tell that something was definitely going on.
When I walked into David's bedroom, we found empty peroxide and the big red stain. Across the bed, I saw the bullet hole in the door, and that's when I realized this is a crime scene. You know, we have to get out.
My brother was missing, and Tammy did not come to help us look for David, which was strange. She was always with my brother.
Days go by with no sign of David, and then we get this news report out of Ohio.
Routine grass cutting along Interstate 75 led to the discovery of human remains.
They send the human remains out for DNA testing.
The DNA comes back. It's determined that these are the remains of David Carter. At this point, Tamara is definitely a person of interest. And it wasn't too long before she was actually in police custody. Tamara Williams denies any involvement in the disappearance of David Carter. Police have confirmed the remains of David's body, but they're missing one piece of very crucial evidence. They need his head to determine the cause of death. They also don't have a murder weapon. The prosecutor doesn't believe there's enough evidence to charge Tamara Williams. So she disappears. Eventually, David's head is recovered, and they're able to determine the cause of death, that he's been shot in the head. Then they know for sure it's a homicide. It's believed Tamara planned all this. She did this in cold blood. The next day, she dismembers the body and dumps the remains along I-75.
In October of 2018, Tamara Williams boarded a train bound for New York. She stayed in a hotel called the Neptune Hotel. The next morning, she walked out and was never seen again.
Now, David's son, DJ Carter, is here. We're glad to have you.
Thank you. Thank you so
All
much.
right.
Tell me about that day when he said he was sick. You showed up to his apartment unannounced.
Yeah.
Did she seem like she was acting strange?
Yeah, it's just thinking about it, it's like she was trying to hide something, trying to get away with something.
It seems like everybody knew it was her.
She was the last person there.
Yeah. How do you deal with that?
When they brought her in, I was excited. The whole family was excited because they got her. Like, this is it. We finally got our justice. We know all that. And but after they let her go, we were like confused. After that, she just disappeared.
You got one thing figured out. Lots of murders drop off, but you've kept this going. You're strong. Your dad trained you to be that way, and you are. You're still looking for his killer.
Right.
Because you're strong, and I'll tell you, he's proud of you.
You're about to graduate from college. What does it feel like not having your father there for those big life moments?
I think about it all the time. It does hurt, but I mostly just think about that, He's proud of me. He was a big sports guy. He played basketball growing up. I played basketball, but I'm not good at basketball at all.
Me neither.
Yeah, I feel you. So they put me in football when I was 8 years old.
And you played in college.
Yes.
And now you're hoping that maybe the NFL might take a look at you.
Yes, I hope so. I truly hope so.
Yeah. And your dad's up there cheering for you.
Oh, yeah. I wish he was here physically, but I know spiritually he's watching.
Oh, he's watching you.
Thank you.
Hope you get in the NFL. I'll come and watch you.
Oh, please.
Yeah, for sure. We'll both come.
Oh, yeah, I got you.
The last time she was seen, Tamara Williams weighed around 190 pounds. She's 5'5", has brown hair and brown eyes, although her appearance may change frequently. She's 44 years old and has a large tattoo of roses on her left arm that goes up to her shoulder. Let's check out the map. Now, this murder happened in Melvindale, Michigan, and David Carter's remains were found along parts of I-75 in Ohio. But in 2020, there was a possible sighting of Tamara Williams in the Bronx.
So if you've seen Tamara Williams or you know anything about this case, the murder of David Carter, anything at all, call us at 866-AMW-TIPS or go to amwtips.com. When we come back, we review all of the cases that you saw tonight. But now we have another crime alert that we really need your help on. Complete chaos in a Southern California bakery earlier this month as a crowd from an illegal street takeover breaks in and raids the place. This happened around 3 a.m. on January 2nd in Compton, just south of Los Angeles, at Ruben's Bakery and Mexican Food. A white Kia rams the locked entrance, clearing the way for the mob of over 100 people to enter and pillage the store. They begin to filter in and help themselves to the entire bakery. These two idiots playfully poke at the two registers, seeing if they'll magically open before they decide to just take the entire things to break open at home. In a matter of minutes, these punks managed to completely devastate this small, family-owned and operated business, causing over $70,000 worth of damage. While most of the mob attempted to cover up, Perhaps you recognize a few of these faces. Police have made some arrests, but they still need your help. So if you live in Compton or the surrounding areas and recognize any of these suspects, send us your tips as soon as possible. Tesla cameras capturing an audacious burglar in a busy Miami parking lot last November. Police say a white male between the ages of 40 and 60 with a large build stole around $800 worth of purchases from a vehicle at the Coconut Grove Home Depot at 2999 Southwest 32nd Ave. Tesla doors automatically lock when their owners are about 10 feet away. And in this case, this thief took full advantage of the feature. But the car's built-in cameras caught it all. From the minute this scumbag approached to the moment he helped himself to the merchandise. And finally, as he wipes his prints off various parts of the car. Well, you missed a spot, pal. Does this creep look familiar? Well, the suspect was wearing a dark-colored hat, dark sunglasses, dark shorts, white socks, and Crocs. Send us your tips at 866-AMW-TIPS or at amwtips.com. Welcome back. Now, let's take one more good look at the fugitives from tonight that we really need your tips to find. Tajay Michael is 29 years old and stands 6 feet tall. When he was last spotted, he weighed 200 pounds with brown hair and brown eyes. Michael has several tattoos on his face, including a crown and the word shine, spelled S-H-Y-N-E, written in cursive on his forehead above his right eye.
Rodney Allen, 71, is wanted for allegedly defrauding over 20 friends and clients out of over $7 million. Just days after a missing persons report was filed in 2017, friends discovered his abandoned vehicle just outside of Boise, but there have been no sightings of him since.
And Tamara Williams is facing charges of first-degree murder, body dismemberment, and tampering with evidence, although her appearance may change frequently. She's 5'5" and has a large tattoo of roses on her left shoulder. Williams was last spotted in the Bronx, New York, in 2020. But remember, at this point, she could be anywhere.
If you see any of these fugitives in public, do not approach them. Contact us at 866-AMW-TIPS or go to amwtips.com. No tip is too small.
Coming up next week on America's Most Wanted. Police need your help to find a fugitive who allegedly shot and killed his sister and brother-in-law in cold blood before getting into a shootout with local police.
Shots fired!
And burning down the family farm. Now, he's still on the run, and he really needs to be brought to justice as soon as possible.
I'm Callahan Walsh.
And I'm John Walsh. Thank you for watching. And remember, you can make a difference. Good job tonight.